All new Dr. Phil today.
You're gonna be dead.
I know.
Why this beauty queen went from wearing a crown to smoking crack.
I'm here to help you, and if you start that druggy crap on me, I will walk your happy ass out of here in 2 seconds. You took Adderall on the airplane. Where'd you get that?
My mom.
Gee, Mom, what are you, a dealer?
She shouldn't even be in my home anymore.
You are high right now. True?
Plus, a daughter who bludgeoned her own father.
You were asleep and you awakened to getting hit with a hammer.
And wait till you hear who her parents are blaming.
She didn't help enough, and it pushed her over.
Why daughters turn dangerous.
Coming up. Let's do it. I want you to get excited about your life.
Here we go, in 10.
Stand by, camera 6.
If it's happening now, we're going to deal with it now.
Stand by, Dr. Phil.
This is going to be a changing day in your life.
Stand by A, and roll A, track it. Go, Dr. Phil.
Thank you very much. All right, now you've heard the old saying about little girls, right? Sugar and spice and everything nice. Yeah, not so much. Today we're talking about those sweet little girls who can grow up into dangerous young women. They are daughters on destructive paths to nowhere. Now, I want all parents to listen to this. These girls have grown up some, but I'm going to promise you, these problems didn't start now. So you got young daughters, you need to listen now. My first guest, a former beauty queen, was on top of the world a few years ago until she took off her pageant crown and turned to crack.
Did you take something to the Kristen?
No, I didn't, Mom.
I'm afraid that my daughter Krista is going to die from a drug overdose.
My parents don't trust me anymore.
My daughter Krista was the beauty queen. She had the world in the palm of her hands, and she gave it all up for the ugly world of drugs.
Now I'm a crack and heroin addict with no future.
When Krista won the Miss Illinois pageant, she was thrilled.
Winning made me feel powerful, strong, invincible. After the Miss Illinois 2005 pageant, I used speed to lose weight because I struggled with my body image. There was so much competition, and I was scared, so I'd be taking these Adderall pills at heavy amounts, and then smoking weed on top of that to mellow me down. I started to realize that I needed all of the drugs at once. Vicodin, Oxycontin, Xanax, Klonopin, Adderall, Ritalin, Valium, Lorazepam, crystal meth, crack cocaine, heroin, snorted and injected, D-amphetamine salts, methamphetamine salts, and that's all that I can think of right now.
I was in total shock when I found out that Krista was using.
I was overdosing on Xanax and speed. I was seeing double. I was delusional. And the cops picked me up. 2 days later, my parents put me right into a rehab facility.
Krista has been in so many different facilities. It's absurd.
I relapsed in heroin.
I was hoping that videotaping Krista and letting her see it, that there would be an impact on her or make her want to change. But she hasn't seen it, as far as I know.
Do you know what that does to your looks, Krista?
Yeah, you have a yellow teeth, and in my addiction, I would steal anything I can get my hands on.
Krista has stolen credit cards from her own father.
I would prostitute myself. I would hustle for money to buy the crack cocaine, and when I didn't get it, I would steal.
We have taken her car and cell phone away.
My drug addiction has impacted my family finances because of the rehabs and bailing me out of courts.
In my family, there is a sense of doom. She's going to end up in jail, institutions, or death. And I can't bear that one. I want to have faith, hope, and courage. But after 4 treatments, I think she's so far gone, I don't know.
They're giving up hope on me. I don't want to die. I don't care what anyone thinks is life or death.
Well, I have a question for you. and I don't know if you can answer this or not, but are you prepared to be honest here today?
Yes, Dr. Phil.
Now, I mean, no kidding, honest, because I'm going to talk to you and I'm going to tell you the truth, and I don't have a lot of faith in your answers, and I'm here trying to help you, and if you start that druggy crap on me, I will walk your happy ass out of here in 2 seconds. Okay? We get each other on that, because the way I can tell you're lying is if your lips are moving. You don't tell the truth about anything, do you? You lie to avoid, you lie to manipulate and get what you want. You're high now. Don't you answer till you think. You tell me a lie, you're gone. You are high right now. True?
I took a Klonopin early this morning.
Where'd you get it?
My mom.
You stole it out of your mother's purse?
Yes, Dr. Phil.
Because you have it for prescription, correct? And you take it as directed, correct? And you leave it in your purse knowing you're in a room with a druggie that will steal and sell her body on the street for drugs, and you bring that stuff in and leave it so she can pick it up and take it hours before she comes here to talk to me? Mom.
Where was I to
Mom, what the hell are you thinking, woman?
Where was I to put it? I mean, we traveled together here. Where am I supposed to put it?
You can lock it in the safe. You can give it to the desk clerk and go get it. You can do any number of things, but you don't leave available drugs around a junkie. I've been through this a million times. I know what it takes to give you a chance to be alive this time next year. And if you don't wake up and get real, you're going to be deader than a hammer. Do you understand? You're going to be dead.
I know.
You know that, don't you? How close have you come?
Very close to death.
You overdosed twice. And you got to the point where you're out whoring yourself on the street for drugs. Come on. At some point, you got to say, that's enough. I need to stop this and start being honest and start being real.
That's why I'm here. I'm done. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I can't do this.
Crack, cocaine, heroin, crystal meth, Xanax, Vicodin, Oxycontin, Adderall, Klonopin, speed. You took Adderall on the airplane.
Yes, I did.
Where'd you get that?
My mom.
Gee, Mom.
Oh.
What are you, a dealer?
Dr. Phil, I am in recovery for 22 years.
Then you know you can't trust her.
I know. I've locked things up in... I locked the vault in our home. I do everything. She's 22. She shouldn't even be in my home anymore. She should be out on her own like all the other people in the world. They'd grow up.
Where am I supposed to go?
You're supposed to
Mom?
grow up and be an adult.
Where am I to go, Mom?
Oh, Krista, it's called growing up. Now it's too late, though, because...
Growing up where? The streets, Mom?
No, Krista, see, this is where this nonsense comes in. You're 22 years old. Where's all your other friends right now? From high school, they're in college, they're going on with their life.
Mom, I have a disease. It's called addiction.
And you know what? It's a
It's
crock.
not an excuse.
It's a crock, Krista. It's a crock because you've been in 4 treatment centers and we can't help you anymore. So try and blame me all you want.
You can't help me. I can.
This is national television, Krista. I have risked everything to save you because I love you so. But you know what? If you don't love yourself, it's not gonna work. I don't know what to say.
It only works if you work it.
Ugh. Yeah.
Coming up, just hours after our interviews with Krista at her home, she was arrested again. Be right back.
Dr. Phil left last night, Krista went out, and Krista was arrested for crack cocaine. This is the second run-in with the law. Your luck runs out on this disease.
Where does that end up, tell me?
Jail, institution, or death.
You know what that does to your looks, Krista?
Yeah, you have a goatee, and
I was hoping that videotaping Krista and letting her see it, that there would be an impact on her or make her want to change. But she hasn't seen it, as far as I know.
Well, that was footage of Krista high on drugs that her mother had the wisdom to shoot. And I am so glad she did, because I want you to see it till you are so sick you could just scream. It was just a short time ago that Krista was working the runway. But now she hustles for her next high. Krista will literally beg, borrow, steal to get money for drugs. She says she wants help. Said she wants help, wants to see Dr. Phil, get some help. But just hours after our cameras left her home, she went out for coffee.
You're in this fog. I am so done. None of us trust Krista anymore. Yesterday with Dr. Phil, the show was at my house. After everyone left last night, Krista went out, and Krista was arrested at 3 o'clock in the morning for crack cocaine, some pipes, as well as some of my prescription medicine that she stole from me. Did you go yesterday into my vault and take my prescribed medicine? No, can't you be honest with me, Krista? This is the second run-in with the law. The first time, she had nothing on her. She was very lucky. Your luck runs out on this disease. Since this arrest has happened, I'm not sure if we'll ever even get the opportunity to see Dr. Phil now. I don't know what's going to happen. We are living moment by moment here.
Because we had to clear it with the state for you to be able to leave because you're out on bail. Now, you say that you were Miss Illinois in 2005, and that was a big accomplishment and a big achievement for you, right?
right.
And you say that was a long way to fall. That when you lost the crown at the end of the year, that it was like, what am I going to do now? Right? How did you feel at that moment when it was over?
I felt useless. I felt like, well, basically that's when I turned to drugs. That's when I decided that was it.
Dr. Phil, can I interrupt and say something? Please, may I?
Yeah.
Every time we show a picture of Krista high, she's not crying because she sees herself high. She's crying because she sees a heroin addict boyfriend that's in jail right now. That's why she's crying. It's like she's addicted to him. And that's not real. I know that's why you're crying.
And you can read my thoughts?
Oh, I can read you like a book. Yes.
Well, let me ask you a couple of questions here. You said you started using drugs after you finished your reign. You started drinking at 14, right?
Yes, that's correct.
At age 16, when you were a sophomore, you were drinking before school and at lunch breaks. At age 17, you were stealing Zoloft from your mother.
Yes.
At age 18, you started using speed to stay awake and lose weight so you could get through high school, and you tried crack cocaine for the first time.
That's correct.
At 19, you start to steal. You start taking Adderall in large doses. You're arrested for stealing from the department store you work so you can get money to buy drugs. And at that time, you tried heroin for the first time.
That's true.
At 20, you overdosed on Xanax and Adderall. And up till all of this, 14, 16, 17, 18, 19, this was all before you finished your reign as Miss Illinois. And you used while you were Miss Illinois, did you not?
Used what?
Drugs.
What kind of...
Doesn't matter.
Because I didn't use crack, I didn't use heroin, I was prescribed Adderall at low dosage.
So all we got to do is give you a crown and you're cured? Put a crown on your head and all of a sudden you quit using drugs? Is that what you're trying to tell me? Be very careful.
No, that's not what I'm trying to do.
I didn't think so. Be very careful talking to me. Then at 21, you got addicted to heroin. At 22, your dad found you in the bathroom with a needle in your arm. Proud moment?
No.
Been to rehab 4 times.
No. Go to.
So you didn't know about this high school stuff?
Oh.
So your daughter's going to school and drinking in the parking lot before she goes into class, drinking at lunch, and she comes home, looks fine to you?
Yes.
Resilient child. Boy, you snapped right back from that lunchtime drunk. And she's taking speed in high school? You never noticed anything?
No, Dr. Hill, I never did. I just didn't. I didn't.
Well, you know it now, don't you? So you know that this is a chronic situation.
Yes, I do.
You know, it's a chronic situation. And you do know that at this point, she couldn't stop if she wanted to. Drug addiction is a complex disease. You know that.
Yes, I do.
It is resistant to treatment. It is subject to relapse. And you think you're smart enough to get by with it.
Yeah.
Do you think there's anybody in this room right now that can't tell you're on drugs as you sit here? Your left eye is only open half as far as your right eye. You're slurring your words, and your affect is flat. Other than that, you're fooling everybody. They can see this. We got to decide that you're going to get honest about this and do something. I'm going to tell you exactly what that needs to be.
Okay, Dr. Phil.
All right, we'll be right back.
Winning the Miss Illinois pageant was a completely different high than being high on drugs. There is a come down from drugs. The withdrawals were deathly. I was shaking, throwing up, going into convulsions, anxiety attacks. It was horrible.
When Krista was a little girl, she was an angel. Never caused any problems. I hope that Krista will return to the state of grace.
Today we're talking to families in extreme crisis due to a daughter's destructive behavior. Former beauty queen Krista has been to rehab not once, not twice, but 4 times. Now, probably 70% of the millions of people that are watching me right now are thinking that I'm being really hard on you. But you and I know how this works, don't we? And we know that you're real good at conning people because you're real cute and you're smart, and so you can just kind of charm your way through about anything, right?
That's correct.
And you use that, don't you?
Yes, I do.
How's it working for you today?
It's not working.
Yeah, I have a problem, and that is that I am an incurable optimist. I do believe that there comes a moment in time where all things wrong can be made right. But if we're going to do this, we're going to do this my way. And we're going to do 2 things.
Okay.
But first, you got to understand, if you're going to work with me on this, I'm taking you out of the game. You're dropping out of society. You're dropping out of life for a long time. And these heroin addict boyfriends in prison, I will be his worst nightmare if he so much as tries to contact you. Okay? Because he can go right back where he is when he gets out, because, and I don't care, he may come out and be one of these 30-day wonders that now he's going to lead you away from drugs. Well, if you're in love with him, get over it. He's gone.
Okay.
And everybody you know in the drug culture is gone. you're going to have a new set of friends. Dr. Lawless, stand up, would you please? This is Dr. Frank Lawless, head of the Psychoneuroplasticity Center, which is a long, long way of saying they check people from A to Z, brain function, hormone function, biochemical, physiological, every possible way you can imagine, because you have probably burned up so much glandularly, hormonally, and brain-wise. Can I impose upon you, sir, to work this young lady up from A to Z so we can find out where the bottom is and where we're going?
Absolutely. What we need to do is do a 14-phase program where we know every part of you, how your brain works, how your body works, so we know what we're dealing with, and we can go from there.
Okay, also joining us now are Rich Whitman and Amy Madrid from the La Hacienda Treatment Center. Look right down here to this gentleman sitting in the front row. Rich?
Oh, Dr. Phil.
I seem to invariably put steeper hills in front of you to climb. What do you think about this 4-time rehab loser?
You think he's tough?
Yeah.
Hi.
You know, I don't know where you've been and I don't know what you've done, but I'm going to offer you a last chance to turn this around. And it has one rule, and that's that you be honest.
Yes, Dr. Phil.
You be honest, because I'm going to tell you, these guys, Amy, tell her. Tell her how important it is.
This is a tough gig, and you seem to know all the jargon of treatment and a 12-step program. In fact, you both do, but I'm not real sure how much you know how to live it. And, you know, Mom, you're in a 12-step program. You're, you know, in recovery. Why aren't you in Al-Anon?
Well, my husband goes to Al-Anon. My daughter goes to Al-Anon.
You need to go to Al-Anon.
Will you do it?
I'm just always,
Will you do it?
Of course.
It's a yes or no question. It's
Yes.
not an essay question.
Yes,
You'll do it
yes.
because you've got to look. This is a long-term thing. Did you hear what I said when I went through the timeline? She started drinking and using at 14, and I'll tell you one thing that you know for sure is that her social development is arrested at that point. She stops to develop at that point.
that.
So you're dealing with somebody that has a 14-year-old mentality and emotionality here. So you've got to understand that this is a long-term rebuild. This is a long-term rebuild, but it beats the hell out of burying you. You know?
Yeah.
Now, we're talking about taking you out of the game. You don't pass go. You don't go home. You go with these two people right here from this stage to La Hacienda. Deal? Deal? Okay. Next, a daughter who attacked her father with a hammer as he slept. Her parents are horrified and want answers as to why their daughter lost control. Today we're talking about daughters on downward spirals. My next guests are still in shock after their daughter Barbara brutally attacked her father with a hammer while he slept. Beverly and Gil say their daughter snapped and they never saw it coming.
On January 28th, my husband was sleeping. I heard my daughter yelling and screaming. When I heard the shouting, I recognized my husband saying, "Stop, Barbara, stop, please stop."
I woke up and I could see my daughter standing there. I knew I'd been hit and was getting hit again. So as I'm trying to get my head out of the line of fire, Barbara's still coming at me with a hammer.
Gil was hit about 17 times with the hammer.
She had beat him all over his body. I think she was going to kill him.
By the time I got in there, he was already a bloody mess. There was blood everywhere. The walls, the floor, the sheets. I couldn't even see his face. And my daughter was standing there with the hammer, with a very pleased look on her face.
I was able to get the hammer away from her, and about that time, my wife and Barbara's girlfriend had come through the bedroom door.
I remember grabbing Barbara and I'm screaming and yelling at the same time. What did you do? Why are you doing this, Barbara?
You don't expect something like that to happen. This is my daughter, it's my baby. I'm not really sure that I still fully grasped the whole thing.
And my granddaughter, Rachel, was there, so she was like, why did my mom attack my grandpa?
I was bleeding a lot.
And he went into the restroom and collapsed in the floor. I thought I'd lost him right then, and I was begging him not to leave me. But he said, I'm okay, I'm okay. And so I got up. He said, you need to call the ambulance. I was trying to get to the telephone.
Barbara went towards her mom and just grabbed her and started choking her.
As Barbara was choking me, she had this demonic look in her eyes. My husband was able to get her away from me.
I grabbed her and I threw her out of the home and I locked all the doors. I don't remember who called the cops. I remember hearing her voice saying, Karina, come here. She goes, why am I out here?
She wanted to come in the house and Karina wouldn't let her in. She said, you just attacked your father with a hammer. And Barbara said, I wouldn't do that. I'm Daddy's little girl.
I don't know what made Barbara do that. And I have no idea why they blamed me. She's basically pointing the finger at me. Like I'm the one who did this to her husband. Like I knew that this was going to happen.
Well, Gil and Beverly believe there is only one person to blame for their daughter's rage. They point the finger at Barbara's ex-girlfriend, Corinna. Take a look.
I believe Karina filled Barbara's head with lies and poisonous thoughts against her family, particularly my husband. Or I sometimes think Karina drugged her with something.
After this incident had happened, I received a phone call from Beverly. She was very rude to me. Beverly called me a manipulator. She called me a liar.
The relationship with Karina was putting a lot of pressure on Barbara. Karina was very high maintenance, and she didn't work. Barbara was doing everything on her own.
This family made me feel like I was a piece of trash.
Karina got angry at Barbara because Barbara wasn't paying enough attention to her. Barbara said, no more. It's over. I want you to leave.
I deserve the right to know why they tossed me out of the family, like I did something wrong.
The morning of the attack, Barbara had told us she and Karina were going to get back together. I was very angry. I knew it wasn't good for Barbara, and then she snapped.
Well, we're joined by Gil and Beverly, along with Karina and her father, Charles. Barbara is in jail now.
In prison.
She's in prison for 5 years. You were asleep and you awakened to getting beat in the head.
Getting hit, yes, sir, with a hammer.
Why do you blame Karina?
I think Karina helped push her over the edge.
So you were in a romantic relationship with her, correct?
Yes.
And did you agitate this situation? Did you push her over the line?
Oh, no, we were very happy.
Neither of you saw any warning sign of this. Just one day, you just wake up getting beat in the head with a hammer by your daughter.
But this was, this was the baby of the family, and this was my little girl. She would be actually the last human being on earth that I would have thought that would have come at me in this way.
I don't think anybody would ever wrap their mind around saying, oh, here's a sign that I'm going to get attacked with a hammer by my daughter. But she did have a violent history, correct? Well, let me just go through it with you.
I guess
we'll go back to as early as second grade. She got in a fight, got in a problem, came back to school the next day with an ice pick.
That was in 8th grade.
Oh, that's worse.
Yeah, I know.
That's worse. So she knew what she was doing at the time.
And she didn't take the ice pick. It was brought to school for her by a friend who gave it to her. This young man had
told
her he was going to
Look, if I'm a classmate and I got an ice pick in my ear from your daughter, I don't really care who brought it. Okay, I'm just saying.
Oh, no, I understand that.
Did she throw a knife at her brother?
Yes.
Oh, no.
But she didn't mean for it to pierce it. She was doing the dishes, and he made her mad, and she threw what was in her hand. And it... Oh, that sounds bad.
Well, she severed the small intestine and punctured a bowel.
Right.
And he was hospitalized for a number of days, right?
He could have died.
The only reason that I'm making a point out of this is because I think in order for you to get any closure, for you to ever to move forward on this, to ever heal a relationship with her, you can't change what you don't acknowledge.
You know, we have never denied, and I have never denied, that Barbara has the ability to hurt somebody or has
Then
gotten these violent
why
things.
blame Karina?
You know,
you do, for sure.
I do.
I want to talk to brother and sister here. Why do you blame Karina?
I think Karina knows more about what happened than she's letting anybody know. The night that it happened, she was, as we were at the home, she was trying to tell what had happened, and every person she told a different story. And she did make a comment to me that night that she thought my dad was doing something to Rachel inappropriately. She told me that.
I had told her that Barbara had mentioned something about this. The night before this incident had happened, me, Rachel, and Barbara had went out to dinner, had a good night, everything was fine. Out of the blue, Barbara goes, I think something's happening to Rachel.
So you didn't do anything to point towards the father? Well, there's a lot of people that are suggesting that's the reason I'm asking.
Well, just
and
like
by the
his
way, let me
daughter
make it real clear, there's absolutely no evidence that you did anything like that, have ever done anything like that. So that's not even an issue. I don't want to mislead anybody. But that was a conversation that was taking place at the time.
I praised her mom and dad.
Because you think that she may have done that. She told you about it specifically, right?
She did. When we were talking about how she could have done something like that to my dad, she told me that her and Barbara had talked about the possibility of my dad doing something inappropriate to my niece.
Is that true?
Yeah, we talked about it, but Barbara brought it to my attention. She brought it to me.
All right, coming up, we're going to find out what Barbara had to say about her father from behind bars.
After the attack, the next time I saw Barbara, she was in prison. And she was very remorseful. She was so happy to see me. And we hugged and cried. And it was Barbara again. When someone in your family snaps and becomes violent, everything changes. You don't know if you're ever going to recover what you had yesterday. I guess if you're lucky, you survive. But there's a gaping hole in your heart, and it feels like it would be okay if it just stopped beating.
Well, they were the apple of their parents' eye, but my guests today say their daughters have gone from cute to criminal. Now, Gil and Beverly's daughter, Barbara, is now serving a 5-year sentence after a gruesome attack on her father with a hammer. Charles, you object to your daughter being made to be what you consider a scapegoat in this situation.
Correct. It doesn't take a rocket science to figure out what's been going on here. There's been some issues with Barbara, as they attest to. The family has not paid attention to the issues that Barbara had to deal with.
What were you just saying to Karina at the break?
I said, I don't hate her. I just want to know what happened. We don't have any answers.
Barbara is currently serving a 5-year prison sentence. We contacted her, and she had this to say about the attack. Quote, "I feel horrible about what I did to Dad. Every day, I wish I could go back in time and change my actions." We asked, "Why did you hurt your father?" Her response, quote, "I can't answer that question. Still to this day, I don't know why."
That's what she
told us. She's certainly not saying because I thought rightly or wrongly that he had hurt my child in some way. At this point, she said, I don't know why. I don't know. Was she on drugs? Was she taking steroids? Was she sleep deprived? Was she alcohol? I don't know. I don't know. But I do know this. You may not have been a good influence in her life. I don't know. You might have been the best thing that ever happened to her. I don't know. But I don't think there's anything that this girl could say to a rational person that would cause them to go pick up a hammer and hit their father in the head. You can't hold her accountable for what your daughter did. To do so would not only be unfair, but it would be irrational because it just...
I'm not holding her account. I hold Barbara accountable for what Barbara
Okay, well, I just
did.
want to be sure of that, and I think you need to hear that, right? Because you feel very blamed for this. What your focus does need to be on is she still has a daughter that you're now raising.
Yes.
She's going to re-enter this family constellation at some point, and you are going to have a plan for that.
But what we haven't discussed is what led up to the year that Karina was there. She didn't work. Karina was very high maintenance. She had to have her hair done. She had to have her nails done. Barbara paid for everything.
How is that relevant?
It was pressure on her.
Well, I think
that added more to the problem that she already obviously had.
You sound so much like my mother.
I
mean,
think
honestly, my mother, I could go down and set the school on fire, and she'd say, well, he needed his nap. Look, you don't get a vote. She's an adult. She made that choice. We're talking about the fact that there is a dangerous and violent side to your daughter that you need to be cognizant of, and you need to put a plan in place to deal with that. You can't just let her come move back in.
I understand that. That's the reason I wrote to you, was I'm afraid of Barbara.
Okay,
now.
and I'm telling you that you should be, and that you need a plan in place. Now, I'll help you make that plan, but what I'm trying to give you now is a wake-up call. I'm trying to wade through all of this misdirected attention. Well, she didn't work, and she put pressure on Barbara, and so then Barbara finally snapped.
But you know, it was kind of like, I guess we just needed an answer, and bless her heart, it was easier, I guess, just to say she didn't help enough. And Barbara, and it pushed her over, and I don't know.
What did I do?
But you
Not
know,
to help, though.
but you know that's
Help
not.
Barbara?
But you know that's not
didn't
true.
help Barbara
You
at
know,
all.
but you know that's not relevant here. You know
I
that
know.
this was a problem she had before she met her. It's a problem she's got after she's out of her life. It's a problem she's going to come home with, and you got to wrap your mind around that so we can help Barbara. It has nothing to do with her. We'll help you work out a plan for this, but just you've got to put your focus where it belongs.
All right.
Okay? All right. We'll be right back. Earlier in the show, we introduced you to Krista, the former beauty queen, now addicted to drugs. Take a look at what happened when she left the stage.
I am very concerned. You better stop thinking that you can get away with it, because this is life and you're going to lose it.
I'm gonna
It's going to be
change,
gone.
Mom.
All gone.
I'm gonna change, Mommy.
Okay, this is a family program. I mean, it takes work, but we need the commitment.
Of course.
Okay, let's do this.
You'll die. You'll be gone.
Mom, I'm doing it, Mom.
Please. For you.
I'm doing it.
For you, for God's sake.
Does she really want it? I'm really not sure.
She's got it bad.
I truly believe she doesn't want to feel the way she does anymore, but I'm not so sure that she's willing to change.
I'm going to follow the rules. This time I want it. Being on the show changed my life. My family will not spend a single dime on any more rehabs. And if it wasn't for Dr. Phil, I would be on the streets.
I have a very special group of people in the audience that I'd like to introduce you to. They are members of the Dr. Phil 2007 Advisory Board. This is the brain trust that I can reach out and pull in when I've got serious questions about serious issues. These guys are the tops in their field. Barry Anton, stand up if you would. Patricia Berliner, Dr. John Turbin, Dr. Steve Edwards, Dr. Sally Horwath, Dr. Frank Lawless, Dr. Arthur Markman, Maggie Robinson, Dr. John Roach, Dr. Lonnie Sherrod, Mary Faith Kenny. This is a great group that helps me all the time in putting things together, and I can pick their brains, so it makes me look smart. So thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. You heard a mother today say, I had no idea my child was drinking before class and at lunch. I had no idea she was stealing for drugs. We're going to give you the warning signs. It's a little checklist you can go through, and don't assume that because they make good grades in school or they're not creating you problems, that they are not at risk. They are at risk. Take the checklist, take a look at your kids, and if you've got questions, we'll have some resources on there for you. drphil.com. Thanks for being here today. So long.